keeping up with the pace of change in AI and tech, uh, it feels like drinking from a fire hose these days, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, every single week there's just this wave of new announcements, new tools, new ideas, that feeling of information overload. It's incredibly real. And that's exactly why we're doing this deep dive today. We want to cut through some of that noise by focusing on um, a single, really high-value source. It's the 10th edition of a weekly newsletter called Beyond the Code with Protique, AI, Cloud, and System Design.
Yeah, the newsletter's stated goal is basically to deliver a concise breakdown of the most important developments, so you don't have to spend, hours wading through everything yourself.
Exactly. And our goal today is to take that maybe a step further. We're going to unpack the critical insights from this specific edition, zeroing in on those sort of nuggets of knowledge that really matter. We'll be looking at significant recent developments in AI, cloud computing, software engineering, especially focusing on some key announcements from the recent Microsoft Build conference that the newsletter highlighted. Right. And this newsletter pointed to some pretty big shifts. We're going to dive into, I think, 4 main areas it covered. First, how GitHub Copilot is evolving into something, well, much more autonomous. Then there's this really interesting concept of doing serious AI development locally, right on your own machine, with something called Azure AI Foundry Local. After that, a project aiming to turn standard websites into natural language interfaces, NLWeb. And finally, the advancements enabling these powerful new AI agents within Microsoft Teams. So yeah, let's jump right in.
Okay, let's unpack this GitHub Copilot piece first. I remember when it felt like autocomplete on steroids, right? Helping you write code line by line. Useful, absolutely, but fundamentally it was about assisting you, the developer. But the newsletter describes something much bigger happening now.
Right. The core idea here, and this really stems from those Microsoft Build announcements the newsletter covers, is something being called agentic DevOps. It's a pretty fundamental shift, actually. It's not just AI helping a single developer anymore. It's about integrating AI agents that can operate, autonomously or collaborate with developers throughout the entire software development lifecycle. What's fascinating here is why this is seen as transformative. The newsletter points out the aim is to genuinely boost productivity, significantly cut down on technical debt over time, and really streamline operations. Basically, having intelligent agents take on more complex collaborative tasks, they're moving towards becoming proactive participants.
Yeah, and you really see that vision becoming concrete with the specific Copilot advancements detailed in the newsletter. The first one is agent mode. This is where Copilot goes way beyond just suggesting the next few lines of code. You can give it a complex multi-step task from just a single prompt, and it can actually plan and execute it. The examples mentioned are pretty striking. Analyzing an entire code base, making coordinated edits across multiple files, generating and running tests, even fixing bugs or suggesting complex terminal commands. And crucially, it's available across the major IDEs. You're probably already using VS Code, Visual Studio, JetBrains, Eclipse, Xcode. So it's not locked into just one environment.
Exactly. And building on that agent mode is the concept of the autonomous coding agent that's mentioned. This is where Copilot really starts reaching towards being that full-fledged team member. You can assign it much larger tasks, things like performing code reviews on its own, writing comprehensive test suites, automatically fixing bugs it finds, or even implementing, significant chunks of a specification. A key detail the newsletter highlights here is that this autonomous agent can actually collaborate with other agents to tackle even more complex problems. And critically, this is important, any proposed changes still go through a proper review process before deployment that addresses those, crucial concerns around control and quality assurance.
Definitely need that. And one area where this agentic capability seems incredibly practical right now is app modernization. The newsletter specifically calls out Copilot's new ability to assist with legacy Java and .NET applications, helping with code assessments, figuring out dependencies, suggesting and even performing remediation steps. What's impressive is that it can generate and execute update plans automatically while still giving you, the developer, full visibility and control over every change it makes. I mean, that could be a massive accelerator for tackling technical debt in older systems.
So what does this all mean for you? Thinking about your workflow, what's the core takeaway from these Copilot updates?
Well, it's that AI isn't just a helper tool anymore, not just autocomplete. It's really transitioning into a capability that can take initiative, handle complex multi-step processes, and genuinely act as a collaborator on your team. It frees you up for higher-level design or maybe more complex problem solving. It's the shift from assisted coding to, well, agentic development. Okay, so that's AI helping developers build software. But What about running that software or even the AI models themselves closer to the developer or, closer to where the action is happening? The newsletter had a section on something really interesting called Azure AI Foundry Local.
Yeah, this is fascinating because it kind of challenges the assumption that sophisticated AI development must happen entirely in the cloud. Foundry Local is presented as a lightweight, sort of local-first version of the main Azure AI Foundry. The powerful idea here is enabling you to build, run, and test AI apps and agent workflows entirely on your own machine, but using the same tools and architecture you'd eventually use in the cloud.
Right. So like seamless transition later.
Yeah, exactly. And this raises an important question. Why bother with local development when the cloud offers all that scale? Well, the newsletter lays out the key reasons. Maybe you're working offline, or perhaps in a highly secure environment where data absolutely cannot leave your device. Or maybe you just need faster iteration cycles without the latency of constant round trips to a remote server for every little test. It provides a bridge, ensuring consistency whether you're prototyping on your laptop or deploying to production up in Azure.
And the newsletter gets specific about what kind of AI development you can actually do locally with this. It says you can run local AI models and manage embeddings right there. You can use frameworks like LangChain for building complex chains, agents, or RAG, that's retrieval augmented generation, the technique for giving AI models access to, like external up-to-date info. You can simulate entire AI pipelines, test how agents behave, all using familiar APIs or the command line. It seems specifically designed for developers building those intelligent apps or complex agent workflows.
Yeah, and from a technical standpoint, how it works is pretty neat. It basically runs containers on your local machine that simulate the necessary Azure AI Foundry services. So this gives you capabilities like local model hosting, handling vector memory and context management, and providing standard HTTP endpoints and CLI support. The emphasis, as the newsletter highlights, is really on maintaining that consistent developer experience all the way from your laptop to a full cloud deployment.
So thinking about your projects, how could this change things? I mean, imagine developing AI applications for edge devices where connectivity is maybe spotty or unreliable, or for applications handling super sensitive data that must stay strictly on-premise. It also just offers the potential for really rapid prototyping and experimentation during development, maybe without racking up cloud costs for every single test run. It really expands the possibilities for where and how you can build AI. Okay, shifting gears significantly now, away from developer tools. Let's talk about how AI might change the way we interact with websites themselves. The newsletter highlighted a project unveiled at Microsoft Build called NLWeb. Sounds interesting.
NLWeb, yeah.
It's introduced as an open project with a really ambitious goal to simplify integrating natural language interfaces directly into websites. The vision is basically to transform traditional websites into something more like AI-powered applications. We can interact just by asking questions or giving instructions using natural language.
Yeah.
Similar to conversing with an AI assistant, the newsletter puts it.
So less clicking, more talking. Exactly. What's particularly intriguing here is the potential to move beyond the constraints of, clicking endless buttons and navigating complex menus towards a much more conversational interaction model for getting info or completing tasks on a website.
Okay, so how does it work? The newsletter lists several key features that make this possible. Firstly, it's built on an open protocol. That means you're not logged into specific Microsoft tech to create these conversational interfaces. A really significant part seems to be its integration with something called the Model Context Protocol, or MCP. Each NLWeb instance essentially acts as an MCP server. This makes the website's content discoverable and accessible to AI agents and other parts of that MCP ecosystem. It's like giving AIs a standardized way to understand and talk to your website's content.
Right. It's about machine readability in a conversational way. And it also intelligently leverages existing semi-structured web data formats that you might already be using on your site, like schema.org or RSS feeds. It combines those with the capabilities of large language models to really enhance user interactions. And importantly, it's designed to be technology agnostic. So it supports all major operating systems, and it lets developers pick the models, the vector databases, other components that best suit their specific needs. You're not forced into one stack.
That sounds flexible.
Very. And the described impact on the web is potentially huge. The project really aims to democratize access, enabling any website, regardless of its underlying tech stack, to offer these rich natural language experiences. It sort of empowers web publishers to participate in this emerging AI interaction landscape, but on their own terms, ensuring their content is, as they say, ready to interact, transact, and be discovered by AI agents if they choose. It's about making the web conversational and machine-readable in a whole new way.
So imagine visiting, say, an online store, and instead of clicking through categories and filters, you just ask, show me red running shoes, under $150 available in size 10. Or going to a local business's site and asking, hey, are you open late on Thursdays this month? How could interacting with websites through conversation like that change your online experience? It's quite a shift to think about. All right, finally, let's wrap up by looking at the last major topic from this edition of the newsletter, and that's the significant push to make Microsoft Teams a really powerful platform for collaborative AI agents. The source notes that Teams is being supercharged with a focus on enabling secure, personalized, and efficient enterprise workflows driven by these agents.
Yes, and the newsletter details a whole suite of features enabling this right within the Teams environment. A key piece seems to be the agent-to-agent, or A2A, protocol. This apparently allows secure peer-to-peer communication between agents within Teams, crucially with no central middleman. So agents can securely share messages, data, even credentials to work together on complex, multi-step enterprise workflows.
Interesting. No middleman.
Right. And there are updated Teams AI libraries for both JavaScript and C# designed to make it simpler to create custom agents and expose more advanced Teams capabilities to them. A really crucial new feature is something called agentic memory. This means agents can now actually remember past user interactions. That unlocks truly contextual responses and continuity across different chats, threads, and even meetings. That feels like a big deal for usability.
Yeah, context is everything.
Definitely. The newsletter also points to built-in automated agent validation tools. These help ensure agents meet compliance and quality standards before they get published to the Teams store. Plus, there are adoption and engagement insights, things like real-time dashboards to track how agents are actually being used and how well they're performing. And maybe most notably, agents can now be present in Teams meetings. They can join both private and group meetings and even access the meeting's AI-generated notes using a new Insights API.
Wow. Okay, so pulling all that together, Teams is really evolving to become this hub where AI agents aren't just simple bots doing basic tasks anymore. They can talk to each other securely, they can remember your history, they're designed for enterprise-grade security and validation, you can track their usage, and they can even join your daily meetings to assist in real time. That's a lot.
It is. So thinking about your work environment, what could this mean for team collaboration or for automating internal processes? Imagine an agent joining a project meeting to maybe provide an instant summary of relevant past discussions from chat threads, or a workflow agent coordinating data collection across different team members by interacting with each person contextually based on their chat history.
Yep.
It's really about deeply embedding these AI capabilities into the place where, let's face it, a lot of enterprise collaboration already happens.
Okay, so drawing this deep dive to a close then, what's the big picture from this edition of Beyond the Code? What's the main takeaway? It really seems the overarching theme is that AI tooling and capabilities are, well, they're rapidly becoming more sophisticated, more autonomous, and crucially, moving closer to where the actual work and interaction happens, whether that's your IDE, your laptop, or your collaboration platform.
Yeah, I think that's right. The newsletter's own wrapping up section really reinforces that trend. We saw GitHub Copilot shifting with its agent mode, moving from mere assistance towards enabling more autonomous coding and fixing right there in your IDE. Then Azure AI Foundry Local is bringing sophisticated AI building and testing workflows directly down to your laptop, offering, zero cloud latency for specific development needs like edge computing or highly secure environments. NL Web is presenting this vision to fundamentally change web interaction, turning potentially any website into a conversational interface that AI agents can understand and interact with. And finally, Microsoft Teams is being transformed into this core platform for secure, memory-enabled enterprise agents, integrating AI much more deeply into daily collaboration and workflow automation.
It's clear things are moving incredibly fast. The newsletter ends with a nice thought, suggesting that if something resonated or sparked an idea worth building from this edition, don't forget to pass it on. Clarity compounds when shared, which is, a good reminder to share these kinds of insights with colleagues and friends.
Definitely. And maybe here's a final thought for you, the listener, to consider building on this whole wave of agentic computing the newsletter describes. As these AI agents become more integrated into our developer tools, running on our local machines, joining our conversations in platforms like Teams, and making websites interactive, how does this fundamentally change our relationship with software, with information, and maybe even the very nature of teamwork itself? Something to mull over.